Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Dato' Engineer Dr. Hasnul bin Muhammad Saleh, the Deputy Director General of Public Works Department Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Dato' Dr. Syed Omar Sharifuddin Syed Ihsan Al-Jamal Melayu, Senior Deputy Director of Intan. Yang berusaha Engineer Haji Muhammad Daud Harun, Senior Director Public Works Department Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Zaitun Osman, Principal Consultant KCoNNect Sdn Bhd, my co-speaker. Yang berusaha Dr. Visvalingam and Sophia, Managing Director Paradigm System Berhad, as well as Hajah Rusnita Osman, Head of the Enterprise Content Knowledge Management Unit of Public Works Department. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. So I forgot to acknowledge the MC, Saudara Fauzi. Thank you for coming to this important event. I've been given the task to share what we did at the university in Gombak campus, as well as several of our other branch campuses. So if we look into this theme of our event today, we have the word communicate. Okay, we start off with connect, and we have collaborate and communicate. I would like to start off by saying that we are addressing human beings here. Okay, there's a difference between human capital, human doings, and human beings. We may be talking, but we are not communicating. We may be hearing, but we are not listening. We may be effective, right? Or we may be efficient, but we will not be effective. So when we talk about these kind of attributes, it helps a lot to understand what to be a human being is all about. Because when we talk about knowledge worker, let's put things in perspective. Many years ago, Malaysia started with the the resource-based economy. Okay? We are very famous with our, latex and all those things. Tin mining. Then we move on. In the late 70s, we were very famous with producing a lot of things. People telling us that, when they open up the computer, the chip is made in Malaysia. Then we have all this foreign direct investment coming into Malaysia. So we move on to labor-intensive economy. So recently we found out that we cannot compete with our neighboring countries, even in ASEAN. If we put on or hold on with our old labor-intensive economy, we will lose out. Indonesia, Laos, Vietnam, all these, they can give better kind of services in this context. So the government have decided that we have to move on. We have to move into K-economy. So what does that mean? K-economy knowledge. Economy means it is something that is related to our minds. Hence the word knowledge worker. So we talk about knowledge workers today. And whether we like it or not, we have things like KPIs today. So how do we relate KPIs to knowledge workers? Anything gets measured, gets improved. And then we also realize that the up and coming terminology of KIPs, key intangibles, performance. How do you measure those that are not tangibles? Those that are not something that you can actually hold. In our university, our university was also associated as the garden of knowledge and virtue. Virtue, buddhi. Okay. How do you measure buddhi? In the Malaysian academic blueprint, higher education, they have introduced, the ministry has introduced the terminology is called ICGPA. This I, instead of the conventional CGPA where you measure the performance of students, is to actually have a holistic balance of producing students coming up from universities. So they are not only well versed in their knowledge, skills and competencies, but they are balanced in terms of their virtue. So it's not easy to come up with something that is intangible. Accountants have the difficulty when they talk about depreciation. But they have a word, they coin a word amortization, right? To put a value to data. So how do you actually depreciate data? How many of us actually appreciate data? Previously, information is power. Now we have big data, information overflow. How do we manage data? How do we manage information? Particularly in this event, how do we manage knowledge? Right? So, as far as the university is concerned, we had actually come up with our ISP, our information strategic plan, the ICT strategic plan for the year 2013 up to 2015. So one of the key result areas in this strategic plan is knowledge management. So it's irony because when I asked our colleague from JKR, they started even early 2008. We only implemented it 2013. And as a result of this initiative, I'm standing in front of you to say what our mistakes, perhaps not what our success story, maybe what our mistakes, our downfall, and whatever. So we will discuss our journey, how we actually try to implement the knowledge management effort initiative in the university. So first, we will talk about the role of universities of academia. So I'm taking from a source which is present with us today, Dr. Zaitun herself. So you can see that in universities, not very much different from university A, B, C, or X, Y, Z. You have research, you have learning, you have teaching, core business. And even in our university, we do have a system many years ago and still is there. We call it the EDMS, Electronic Document Management System. But the point is, we don't use it. We just put it there and nobody cares unless you really have to use whatever is being stored there. That is the problem. So we are actually following what's the state of the art, what's happening in the world. We come up with that system, but the takers, those who are actually passionate to use it, is not there. So eventually the EDMS become outdated. So it's not as sophisticated as it is what we have today, some other solutions that's available. So as you can see in this, the advantage of using this mouse, you can see both screens. Otherwise, if I show one here, you cannot see that. Right. So if we look at this core business, we can have learning, teaching, research, as I was saying. And the challenge is, I was asking Hajar Rosnita just now, can we, in principle, convert almost 100% of tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge? Is it possible? What do you think? To me, if it is on the fly, you can actually, in my opinion, you can always try to translate that. But knowledge is ever green. I mean, is ever, is always there, coming up. Something new is coming up. So to see that everything can be converted into explicit is impossible, because the evolution, the growth of knowledge, something that is introduced every second, every minute, is part and parcel of our knowledge generation, our experience. So to say that everything can be converted into explicit kind of knowledge, I think it's not possible. Because we ourselves, whether you realize it or not, the way we think is actually when we take something into our mind, we break it up into certain sections and store it somewhere. And then when we retrieve it, it's a form of creativity. That's how you take it from this part of your brain, that part, and become something relatively new. Then you innovate. So that kind of process means the evolution kind of nature of knowledge, that if you do not do something about it, it will go with you into the grave. So whether you want to do something about it or not, you have a good chance now because of the existing technology and maybe some new technologies coming soon, not too long from now, such that we have YouTubes. So this is an avenue, a platform where you can actually try to translate your tacit knowledge. Okay? It's not just about writing. Most of us are lazy. We don't like to write. But sometimes it's easier for us to stay in front of the camera and explain. So these are, I think, avenues for us to think how we can try to make sure our tacit knowledge is being able to make available to some others. Okay? Maybe not in the immediate people within the community, even using those kinds of avenues like YouTube, you can share it to a greater community out there. So the challenge in universities, I put it two ways. One, the so-called practitioners, us academics, we have to actually teach, we have to coach. In our university, we call ourselves, we don't talk so much as educators or scholars. In our university, we use Arabic words. We talk about mu'allim, murabbi, mu'addib. Entry level, mu'allim. You teach, coming up from your mouth, and it may reach the ears of the students. That's entry level. Whether it comes here, go through there and out, or vice versa, is a different thing. And then the next level, try to simplify it, when we talk about murabbi, is coming from the heart to the heart. Okay? Daripada hati ke hati, daripada pensyarah itu kepada hati nurani pelajar. Hati marisati. Siapa yang ketawa tu generasi kita lah. Daripada hati ke hati. Daripada mereka pula, the next one, the highest to attain is mu'addib. There you transform your akhlaq. Okay. Whether you can have high moral values. So it's not just about knowledge transfer, it's about transforming oneself to become a whole, a complete human being. That is the challenge in universities, specifically in our university. So on the other hand, while talking about the academics, the practitioners, we have this challenge, explicit and implicit or tacit knowledge. At the level of the students, the way we are conducting the courses and programs, most of them, they will be exposed to explicit knowledge. And that's why there's this disconnect. People are debating when they come out from universities. You try to link them to the end users, the market. There is a gap where most of the traditional universities, ours included, we have been focusing much onto the explicit knowledge, into not so much into the practice. So they need to be retrained. as they enter the marketplace. So we need to do something innovative here. But anyway, while having said these kind of challenges, let me move on here. The International Islamic University Malaysia, we currently are on our third strategic plan. Our third strategic plan is to sustain our university as the premier international Islamic research university. So this premiership, so-called, is being recognized by ISESCO, a body from OIC. So we got this recognition somewhere at the end of 2014. So to sustain this, in our existing strategic plan, we have 8 different key result areas. Okay, so out of these 8, we decided to focus on 4, specifically for the knowledge management initiative. Okay, so some of you may be wondering why we are not taking all the 8. The answer is simple. We need to prioritize because of limited resources and to be more realistic. When you have 8, it will be too challenging for us, because we also are thinking about fast-tracking, jumpstart our knowledge management effort. So as you remember, I mentioned earlier, we are talking about 2014 when we started this initiative, and now we're moving right into the middle of 2016. So we need to have some kind of low-hanging fruits so that we can see the efforts actually being translated and implemented along the way. So what are the 4 key result areas that we have chosen? Number 1, it is teaching and learning, our core business. Teaching and learning. Research, innovation, second one. Okay. Third, our holistic student development, very important. And finally, the 4th is our talent management. Okay, I repeat. We stress upon teaching and learning, research and innovation, talent management, as well as holistic student development. So we put aside 4 others. And what are they? Good governance. I'm not saying it's not important. Okay, good governance, Islamization, our niche area. We do have good documentations, processes involved with these 2. 3, we have internationalization. Okay, and then 4, financial sustainability. So we are under threat right now about not enough funds and so on. So as far as our knowledge management is concerned, we focus on the previous 4. Okay, not to say that the other 4 I just mentioned are not important, but knowledge management wise, we feel that we need to prioritize the 4 initial key result areas. So the question now we need to answer is the knowledge that we produce, Saudara Fauzi, how many minutes do I have left? I need to time properly. About 10? 1-5. Okay, great. 1-5, okay. Is the knowledge that we produce accessible? Do we know where they are and who owns it? This is always the common question. Okay, in any organization, notwithstanding IIUM. So how much are we replicating, duplicating our policies in place to capture from those who are about to leave? We have massive system in place. How much are we putting it into good use? Who are the knowledge contributors? Okay. So our particular effort, as I said, started in 2014. We are now already into the 3rd year. So what we did in 2014 was mainly knowledge audit. Okay, we asked that particular question just now. And then in 2014, we developed a pilot community of practice portal, followed by our existing one. We have IUM online community of practice. We call it iHikmah. So in 2014, under the initiative of knowledge audit, we spent about 5 months. So we did have various meetings as well as workshops and even labs, and we end up with a report, identification of the things that we want answered at the beginning of these couple of slides just now. So as you can see, we started around mid of 2014, and by October, we managed to complete the knowledge audit. And we found several interesting results. So our first 3-tier approach was focus on what knowledge is required and what we have. Who has it, and is the information accessible? And finally, what are the gaps? Okay, what are the gaps? So we had 3 awareness workshops, 4 brainstorming labs, and an online survey, 354 respondents. So in the brainstorming labs, we actually discussed how to design the questionnaires for our respondents to respond via online. 1,200 respondents identified, only about 30% responded. It was actually spread across the campus, the whole of the university, including Kuantan. Okay, we have currently we have 15 faculties in our university. Faculties are called kuliahs, including medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, nursing, engineering, and then 1 institute that focuses on Islamic banking and finance. So 16 different kuliahs and 1 institute. So 354 respondents. At the end of the day, we found out there is a fair representation. Yeah. So we divide the result. The analysis was done on process, people, as well as system. So when we look at processes, we see that critical knowledge resides with the experts rather than being stored in the portal. I think this is quite common among the other organizations. So when they leave, their knowledge will live with them because there is no provision for transferring it. So at that point of time, there is no real provision on how to capture this tacit knowledge. If key people go on leave or are not available, certain routine tasks and activities cannot get done. So this is common among government agencies. This is common in IUM as well. Yeah, especially those, for example, who goes to our international office. If they want to get their visa renewed, you see this person is not around, you have to wait. Something like that. It's very common. Activities and processes are not well documented. So to find out about them, you usually have to find the right person and you have to talk to them to find out what happened. So as I said just now, you may be talking, but you're not communicating. Yeah, you see this person, resource person, you talk and they talk, but they are not communicating. So you waste a lot of time, okay? Because you are not serious. Then we talk about here, the people factor. There are areas of work where it is clear that the skills and competency of staff have not kept pace with the changing demand of their roles. So as an example again, in our university we have the visa office. So very recently, the government introduced EMGS. So the international students have now to go on through this new system. So as a result, there's a big backlog of application. So the implication is when you have a big backlog, some of the students overstayed and they have to pay the penalties. Okay. Sometimes it means also the university have to pay the penalty. So this kind of thing means when you introduce new systems, new kind of things, you need to have trainings. And who are the ones who are going for the trainings? They have to be chosen correctly. And they need to be available almost 24/7 if they are critical, right? So that's why I think when we in the organization, why do we prefer proprietary kind of thing rather than open source? So one of the questions to be answered is, do you have support 24/7? That's why we go for proprietary. Okay, similar thing to this kind of situation. Ideas for improvement get lost and are not acted on. Brainstorming, for example, very important decision made in meetings, not acted upon. What happened to the decision? Yeah. We wanted to do something, then we only see the action 6 months later. Why? So these are issues that very much related to knowledge management. When mistakes are made, the organization is slow to acknowledge the mistake and make sure that it's fixed. So this is quite common as well. So finally, under this knowledge audit, we talk about the system as well. Information and knowledge is stored in the form such as intranet or portal, but the information system is not user-friendly and not readily accessible to employees who need it. So it's very common, even until today, when we had discussions in different meetings, where can we get these kind of guidelines or policies? Even though I told you that we already come up with the EDMS, the Electronic Digital Management System. People, the community, when it gets very large, it becomes more complex. You need to actually, daripada hati ke hati. So today, this year, we roll out our KPI. Under my office, we said our previous KPI is not effective, specifically for academics, because we have academics, professors, they are outstanding, but the university is not outstanding. So which means the KPI of the individual contributor is not aligned, is off tangent with the kuliah and the university. So we decided we have to overhaul, to revamp our KPI specifically for our academics. But we also realized we cannot just send them emails or whatever documents to have this change. Under the change management, we need to go down. So we need to go down to every single kuliah and institute. Of course, you have the hard time, you're being bashed with different kind of questions. Is this university forgetting about Islamization? Are we going to become an economic kind of thing? Those kind of questions are rampant among academics when you go down. But you have to face the fact, if you want to make any change, radical change like this, go down. Tell them. So similarly, with this kind of effort in knowledge management in our university, we need to go down and reach the people, the Gen Y, the Gen Z. The characteristic, they don't stay put. They will be very volatile movement, and we need to actually capture as much tacit knowledge as possible in very effective ways, inshallah. So, when we look at the teaching, learning, research, and students, we have put up into this. We have been collaborating, of course, with our consultants from the organizer today, co-organizer. And we put up this table. You can see where are the bubbles in the quadrant of maintain, protect, improve, as well as provide. Okay? So if we are talking about improvement, okay, this around this behind this book, you can see this, improve. Okay, so these bubbles reflect, the bigger the size of the bubble, it means it's more frequently accessible. So this particular axis here, accessibility, and the one on the x-axis is the importance. So you will divide it into 4 quadrants, right? Whether you need to protect, whether you need to maintain, whether you need to provide, and whether you need to improve. So based on this, we managed to answer the second part of our knowledge audit: who has it and is the information accessible? And finally, we need to answer, if you already know that, what are the gaps and what you're going to do about it? Okay? Which is normal, as I said earlier. We are very good. we Malaysians are very good in terms of paperwork, right? At the end, kertas yang bekerja. Paperwork, kertas yang bekerja, tapi we don't take the action. So I guess we are proud of that. But moving forward, we need to change. Thank you. Not inclusive of questions, right? So we identified 7 gaps: managing knowledge of experts, codifying tacit knowledge. It is possible. Accessibility of knowledge, internal knowledge processes, knowledge sharing practices, organization, learning culture, as well as ICT enable knowledge. So in a nutshell, what we are saying here as far as gaps concerned, develop community of practice as a network platform that links employees to knowledge sharing, to pilot an online community of practice project, provided a platform for tacit knowledge exchange forums. So these are some of the, we will call it as our low-hanging fruits, immediate consumption. By the end of the day, we still need face-to-face. We still need some kind of heart-to-heart. It's not just about, using ICT kind of thing. So iHikmah is the implementation version of our portal, where we have groups of people who share a set of problems or passion about a topic and who deepen their knowledge and experience in various areas by interacting on an ongoing basis. So we do that kind of thing as well. We understand JKR has been doing this for several years already. Congratulations to them. And we are still playing around with this idea. So you can see roughly, currently still very small, about 1,500 postings. And still embryonic, okay? Because we have yet to actually go out again. Like the KPI initiative, this one also needs to reach out to the community to tell them the relevance, the importance, and the implication of neglecting this important effort. So finally, we also managed to get some feedback from our community to explore via survey how is their perception towards this new portal. Will using the portal enhance my performance? Is the portal easy to use? Who can influence me to use the COP? Are the facilitating conditions sufficient? Will I recommend others to use the COP? So these are the answers that we obtained from the respondents. 67% said useful in their daily work. 77% found the platform to be advantageous. 71% increased my chances of achieving targets that are important. 69% say it's clear, understandable in terms of usage. 72% sufficient facilitating conditions in terms of usage. And in terms of influence, 57% say I will use it if my peer used it too. I will recommend to my friends, 72%. So I think the takeaway from this is most probably we are here, again, very early stages of the implementation. We have the potential, but clearly from the respondents, it means people like me as the CIO, people from the top management to be the role model, to say we are using it, we are actually making sure that it's useful to the whole community, role models. But without that kind of drive, it cannot be enabled. So what's next is simply, we already have something like SEs. What is SEs for our university currently? So what we aspire to be in the next coming years. So what can we achieve if we do this correctly? Of course, the spawning of ideas is very important in our university, innovation, research innovation. But we also stress innovation is not the monopoly of engineers or scientists. Even drivers, even security guards needs to innovate. Building relationships across the community, across the board, decreasing the learning curve for those who are coming in, right? We understand when we talk about situational leadership, yeah, situational leadership, you actually can cut down on the time. And of course, facilitating rapid responses to customer needs and problems. So, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.